Hello, leader. It's Shannon with Team KLC here, welcoming you to another fabulous episode of the Fierce Factor podcast. This week, we are bringing another live expert guest session with one of our awe-inspiring powerhouse Pop Leadership Academy members. If you ever wondered what kind of women join our programs, what kind of conversations we have, and what it's like working with our team, then I think you'll love this behind-the-scenes conversation highlighting the real-life stories of scrappy founders creating lucrative, deeply fulfilling, life-first businesses. Without further ado, please enjoy this episode of the Fierce Factor podcast.
Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Welcome to today's episode. You are joining us inside of our incredible high growth, high powered, supercharged Pop Leadership Academy incubator here, where we have brought on a special guest of honor in pink, always on brand, always looking beautiful, and somebody who I have had the esteemed pleasure of getting to know over the past over 2 years now. I've spent time she came out to Newport Beach and we spent time even together in a VIP day, which was so incredible. And I got to go this summer to see her in her hometown, Annapolis, because Cooper was playing lacrosse in Maryland. So how about that? That was really special. And more importantly, I've watched this woman grow in incredible ways. Not only she already was a successful businesswoman and was moving and shaking and expanding locations, but to watch the way she has grown, the way that she has done the work to build a business that didn't just grow in complexity and chaos, but that really helped fulfill her dreams and passions and priorities as a mom, as a woman, as a friend, and somebody who generously pours into her colleagues and mentees and people around her in her community. And so I'm so excited to welcome Meg Fox to the Fierce Factor podcast and as our Academy expert guest today. Welcome, Meg.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. So I'm going to just give everybody an update on your bio who doesn't know you so they can get to know a little bit more about you. So Meg Fox is a PA, an owner and lead injector at Meg Fox Aesthetics. She has over 25 years of clinical experience. I know she looks like a baby, but we know how old she is because she shared it with us this year. Her passion for beauty and fashion began much earlier than even her 25 years. From a young age, she was fascinated with makeup, hair, and even sewing wedding props, anything that allowed her to express creativity and celebrate beauty. After years of working in healthcare, Meg experienced burnout. I have to talk about that, and a lack of passion. She explored opening a fashion boutique, took business classes, and even worked part-time at Nordstrom. That experience reignited her spark and helped her realize she wanted to combine her lifelong love of fashion and beauty with her career in medicine. That path led her to plastic surgery and aesthetics just as Botox and fillers were beginning to gain traction. She immersed herself in the field, attending every training, webinar, and conference available, honing her skills and pursuing her passion with relentless dedication, becoming an Allergan and Galderma trainer with the opportunity to teach providers across the country. This has been one of the most rewarding aspects of her journey. Meg specializes in full facial balancing, creating personalized treatment plans that enhance each client's unique features and goals. She strives for excellence in her craft every day, but equally values offering a boutique experience that feels welcoming, personal, and inspiring. Opening Meg Fox Aesthetics was a full circle moment, bringing together every aspect of her professional expertise and lifelong passions. Today, she is proud of the beautiful, uplifting environment she and her team have created and is committed to helping clients look and feel their absolute best. So super excited to learn from you, Meg. So, oh my gosh, 20 years of clinical experience, plastic surgery, and medical aesthetics. So let's talk about your journey and what first inspired you. I heard the word burnout, but what it's inspired you then to focus on aesthetics and then eventually launch your own practice.
Yeah, so I originally graduated from PA school I think 2001. I'm not even sure. But back then you just got a job where you got a job. So I worked in ortho and I just didn't love it. You had to kind of like dumb down. You had to like man up. It just didn't feel right. And that's actually, I don't know if any of you watched those TV shows about the drugs coming out and the pain. What were they? The Netflix shows and the pain pills and all that. That's when I worked in ortho. People were stealing scripts. They were forging scripts. They were faking pains. It was just like, I just hated it. It didn't feel right. You weren't really helping people. It wasn't my passion. I mean, I was just like, if this is what it is, I don't want to do it. My parents wanted to kill me. But then I was like, I want to open a boutique because I love fashion and I love beauty. And then when I got, surprise, surprise, to the business classes that were taxes and accounting, I was like, oh, just kidding. This is not cool. I don't want to do this part. It's not just like opening boxes every day and having new stuff. So I started working, and I'd also worked at Nordstrom. So just because if you want to learn something, you go to the best. I felt like customer service wise, they were kind of the leader. And this was 20 years ago. So all of that was like, wait, I just need to work, combine beauty, fashion, and medicine. And that was like, I need to work in plastic surgery. And there wasn't aesthetics then. It was plastic surgery only. I don't even think really, well, maybe dermatology, but I did plastics. And then there was only Botox when I started. There wasn't even Restylane. So Botox was out. We would do it once a month for like 4 hours. And once a month for the day. But after 4 hours, we threw the vial away. Like we thought it would like go back, like something awful would happen. Everybody walked out like a zombie because you told them they couldn't look down. They couldn't try on shoes. They paid. They went out the back door. It was just like a weird, surreal experience compared to now. So, and then Restylane came out and then Perlane came out, Radiesse came out. So then it just compounded into the doctors didn't really want to do it. And I loved it. And I felt like doing it with a passion. And so it kind of transpired over, this was a long time, like 17 years of me having my own little practice kind of on the side of theirs where I just did injectables and lasers all day, every day, and built my own little practice within there. So I did all the specials, the ordering, like I kind of was running a micro business within the big business, but I wasn't being paid. So fast forward, I was then once again not a passion where I just felt like I was working, where it didn't matter how much I worked, I was working. They wouldn't put my name on the door. They wouldn't give me a desk. They wouldn't redo my office. A lot of times they wouldn't even give me space or staff. It was just like, just figure it out kind of thing. I wouldn't necessarily have like the accounts were on hold, they didn't pay the bill. Like it was just always something. It was super stressful, but I still kind of wanted to make it happen. People came to me, make it nice, make their process, seem seamless, seem like positive, but it wasn't a positive place. So after a while, I was like, I just got to go. They wouldn't let me go in on things like to partner. They wouldn't support anything, like literally nothing. So, and they wouldn't make anything, not about me, but it was just I only wanted the money coming in. It wasn't a business to build or a focus. So it almost pushed me out, sort of. And so then I went. At one point, the doctors were like, we could have you work like at a satellite office that we owned and like you do all the work and like we take all the money. And I was like, yeah, no. So then I just had to do it. Like at some point, I'm the kind of person you have to almost push me off the cliff. But when I go, I'm flying higher than ever. Like once I fall, I won't fall. So then I'm kind of like, watch me. And yeah,
like tell me now that. Did you have the goal of building it to where it is today? Is that something that sort of happened by default?
By default. Yeah. I mean, we started, I couldn't start small only because thankfully I had the book, but I had the book from 17 years. So they would never give me a contract or make things official. So it actually helped me in the end because I didn't have a non-compete. I literally had nothing. And so that made it easy. And then naming the business after my name helped people find you because, when you leave a business, they don't, I can see both sides of it now as a business owner. But yeah. So, and then you're scared. You're like, do people really like me? Are they really coming for me? Have I built this or are they just coming here? But my old job, I felt like never appreciated that they thought if they just put another person in my spot, it kept going. Yeah. So it did not. But yeah, so I opened and within day one, we were busy. I mean, busy to the point that we didn't have time to build SOPs or policies, procedures, systems. We had a chair, we had patients, we had Botox, we went. Yeah. And then we opened maybe the very beginning of January. And by March, we had a grand opening with 250 people. It was crazy. And it wasn't until that moment where there was just people everywhere, people out the door. And I was they were coming for me. It was me. I did build this. They followed, because you need that moment. I think I saw on Instagram where same kind of thing, the girl had a bakery and there was a line around the block. And she was it's just that pinch me moment where it's wow, I did it. They came and we're not done yet. Watch us.
I love that. A lot of people in the chat, go girl, had the same experience. So it's funny because you use the words when you're talking about making it nice. And I think when we think of Meg, we think of it being made nice. So is that something, when you talk about creating that experience for your patients and trying to, obviously, I think you make it sound like the doors just open and business was there, but they were coming to you for a certain reason. What is it about that experience, about that making it nice? What are some of those things that you do that sets Meg Fox Aesthetics apart from other med spas?
I think the biggest thing before it was nice because I had them coming to me regularly with a high retention without it being nice. I mean, if you saw where I used to work, people would not believe it. Yeah, but the people stuck by. I think the relationships, I will know a patient, you can look at the schedule one day and I will know where they went on vacation, where their kids go to school, maybe even what they wear, what they love. It's definitely a talent where I remember that. Names, I probably couldn't tell you unless they've been with me 20 years or a pain in the ass. But something about them, I know. And I actually really like that. I know all these people and I enjoy visiting with them. So I think the relationship building is the most important thing. Yeah. And I think it's actually gotten deeper even since there's social media now because everyone then you can connect through that way. So they feel they know your kids even more because now they've seen pictures of them or whether it's your vacation or I think that, we all kind of can lean into that social media and it builds the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because you talk about something that's not necessarily a clinical skill, right? My business was built on relationships and on focus on creating an experience. So as you've now expanded to a second location and you have other providers, how do you ensure that those values are upheld across your team? Is this something you train to? Do you hire to this? How do you, I think when you think of scaling up, that's, I think one of the fears that most women have when they expand, if they're not going to be there, how do I teach and train and uphold that sort of essence and that culture among the multiple locations?
Right. So I think the next part of the relationship is you're building trust and you're building trust not just through the relationship, but also through your results. So I've seen all of the trends. I've seen when we used to put a third of a syringe and people would save the syringe and try to come back and get it again. What? We did that. We also did like awful results. Like we filled everyone's nasolabial folds till people looked like cats. Like it was awful. Like, but we didn't know. So it always cracks me up when these new injectors get on Instagram and they're like, this is wrong, or this is like, we didn't know. We had one filler, we knew one thing, and that's all we did. We also hadn't seen pictures. You didn't have webinars. You didn't follow anyone else. So we built trust kind of like going through all the motions, but I think I never went outside of like what I knew and what I knew well. So like then the next thing comes and everybody puts tons of syringes in, or people are doing packages. I've always just stayed really conservative from an injection standpoint, and I do stuff in pieces. So I'm not the one you'll see someone come in and I'll inject, 6 syringes, or I do it in pieces. So like we'll get to that same end point, but I do it in phases. So I think that builds people's trust, and just having a really good result, because that's walking around on the street. So that builds, if you built a relationship with someone and they trust you, they send their friends, they send their family. And that's how my book grew. I didn't have Instagram or social media. I mean, we printed out flyers. Like from a little, what was it, Google? I don't even know how you made a flyer. It was ugly. It was awful. It wasn't cute. And you folded them 3 times and you put it in an envelope and you wrote an address and you mailed it.
Yeah.
And that's how you built your business. It was like we would have a Botox day or a day of beauty. We thought we were like just killing it. A day of beauty, like, woo, so original. But it would be a day where we would have, Botox and fillers and some specials and little treats and little like giveaways. And that's how it started. It was like piece by piece by piece, relationship by relationship by relationship.
Mm. And so when you tell those stories to your team members, what do they say?
They need to go back there so they can appreciate. They came here, and my team, they only know here. They don't know the like, yeah. I mean, I know I sound like an old person, but like they don't know the struggle of all the things. But that's fine. I mean, I want them to, I like that we can present a better experience, that we can elevate things, we can do things, the Meg Fox way. Yeah.
So what was it that prompted your decision to expand and open a second location?
I had, so when I worked in Baltimore City, it was in the center, and I opened north of there. So then it alienated kind of all the south of there. Then it became like too far of a distance. So I would say if people are thinking about a second location, they have to be at least, in my opinion, like 30 miles apart. Because if you do it closer than that, the one cannibalizes the other. And it's hard to grow because the one will go down and then the other one will be based on a business you already had. So then the obvious answer was they're both like 35 miles apart-ish, but it's the thing in the middle is the city, which is where all the traffic is. So it kind of creates like a wide net for the top of the city and then the bottom of the city. So, and then I live by the second location, but I opened the first location because I just did a zip code survey and that's where all my people were, which I kind of knew, but just doing. So I'd say if anybody started to have a pull where they just kept pulling from one area and kind of it built, I would probably suggest seeing if you could get like a temporary location. So when I first opened Towson, I would go once a month to a temporary location and rent that. I actually rented a plastic surgeon's office for the day once a month. And then we brought everything down. We saw patients there, but we would see like 45 people there. It was insanity. It wasn't our best work. It was a factory, but like it kept that niche of people so that then when we opened, we had that small base and then we could build on that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I was just talking to someone about this. Like I'm very excited because I'm actually building a podcast studio. And so I won't be podcasting from like my office. I'm going to have a real space to go. And I was literally like last year, like looking at building. I'm like, I'm going to buy a building. And then I need a building on the beach because if I had to guess, they're going to come out and they probably need a guest room in there. And the places my brain was going, like, girlfriend, I had to like check myself, And then I'm like, wait, I probably should make sure I want to have a studio first. And I think what you're saying is like, check your ego and test before you invest, right? Like start small.
Correct. I mean, I could want a lot of things, and buying a building is amazing. And in certain spaces, it's more feasible. But to me, it was more important to be in the right place, the right location. I mean, you think our patients are high maintenance in the chair. They're just as high maintenance about where they drive, where they park, what they want to be next to. So for me, picking a location that was more of a retail and it really being centralized was really important because certain towns don't like to go like 6 miles. Like those people just don't drive outside of their little circle.
Mm. So I want to ask kind of some personal questions. One that's coming to mind for me, just based on some conversations that we've had in the past. How have your like relationships changed, or how has the way that, let's say, I don't know, I think there can be cattiness sometimes in this industry. Have you found as you've grown that people see you in a different way, interact with you differently?
Yeah, I think luckily in this area, because I'm like an OG, it doesn't matter like what followers or what anybody had. No, not many people have been around as long as I have in this area because that's when it started. So you couldn't be any earlier kind of. That helps a lot. I think usually if people are intimidated by me, I've had a little bit of that. It's usually, I don't want to sound like, look, I'm 50. It's their problem. Like, you shouldn't be like, because I'm the first one. If you called and asked me, how do you do this? Or what do you do for that? Or how do you go there? I mean, I've had the places across the street, they request for me to train them. And then sometimes you're like, really? Why would I go across the street and train? And then I'm like, you know what? No, it's fine. I'll go. I'll do it, because we should all be better injectors. We should all learn from each other. And yeah. So I think luckily in the community, I don't know. I seem to think it's an okay relationship. I think some of it, plays off the companies, the vendors. They create kind of like teams and riffs and stuff like that a little bit. But I think kind of staying in your own lane. Look, if you worry about what other people are doing, you will make yourself crazy and you will not go forward. Like if you're constantly like, well, that person's doing that, or that person's going there, or they have more people, or they're this ranking, or they're that, like you'll literally make yourself crazy in life. Like if you don't turn that off, and if that circles around you, look, if I have an injector that I feel like is doing that to me, then I just remove myself. I don't want to hear that you're doing this or you're doing that. I'm competitive, as most business owners are. So like if you're in a relationship that's toxic and pulling at you, I just remove myself from that. Like I won't get in it.
Do you feel like you've always been like that, or is that 50-year-old wisdom?
It's gotten with time. No, when I was young, no, I would be like all about, I've even had, like an employee leave and then they try to come back at you and say you weren't a good boss or something like that. And the old me, well, now I'm old. The young me would say, I would have gone after it. I would have been like, well, actually, that's not true because you got this and you got that. And then I'm like, I think move in silence is probably one of my favorite things, and just like rise above or take the high road.
Mm-hmm.
But move in silence is so powerful because then everyone wonders what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Well, and I also think let them be wrong about you. And that's been one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, especially when you're a one-upper.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's other ways to one up. So this is what I do is if I get caught in like that kind of thing, I say, like stop, remove yourself. And what can I do to be bigger or better? So I'll try to find like, a training or add like, something like KLC. Like I'll just be like, I need to find something that channels my energy into me being bigger and better than getting involved in the negative rat race that pulls you down. So that's what my usually mantra is, to try to find a way to make a positive out of like the negative energy.
Mm-hmm. And when you say move in silence, what do you mean by that?
Like, I don't like to be, we have social media, so you have to do it some, but like too boastful, like people that like, they'll get on the boards and stuff and be like, I'm having like my, everything's great, everything's amazing, everything's perfect. Hello, I missed back to school night last night. I only had 2 kids. I'm 0 for 1. Like, it's not perfect. It's not amazing. Like, so the highlight reel is out there. That's Instagram. Great. But like, just if you're trying to build something, if you're trying to do something better, if you're having like, I just keep it quieter, because I think if you put too much out there, it brings on that energy. I don't know. I just don't know how some people put so much out there. It's like they want that clickbait. They want that negative response. They want that, Drama, I don't do drama anymore. Like, I don't want it.
Well, I think it's also like, it's lonely, and I think like no one's patting you on the back and proud of you and like, good job, like even, what it takes. So I think sometimes we can get lost in trying to go seek out that, if it, for lack of a better word, attention or that dopamine hit or, the atta girl. And, ultimately the more you talk about what you're doing, the less you're spending time just really doing it, right? Putting your head down and going.
No, totally. And that being said, like if I want to hire somebody or if I want to find, like an outlet for something or a place to travel, like whatever I will talk to my patients all day about it, but like in a different way, not in a like, I'm great and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but in a like, I'm hiring for this position, I'm trying to find someone, because a lot of great things can come from, like, think about it. You talk to like 20, 30 people a day. You can learn a lot from your patients. So that I will talk in those small circles. But as far as putting big things out there, we have a big secret coming. There's a surprise. We're doing big things. And it's like a logo change or something. Come on.
Hey there, goddess. If you have been craving some human connection and inspiration, I want to invite you to join us for the Super Bowl of coaching advisory at KLC. But the Alt Experience 2026. I cannot be more excited for this in-person immersive experience for ambitious female founders in aesthetics and wellness. And guess what? I have something special for you. Now is the moment to grab the woman that you spill all of your entrepreneurial tea with. Mark your calendar, because on Monday, September 22nd, for one day only, we're offering something we've never done before, the Injectorpreneur Bestie Bundle. Register for the Alt Experience with your entrepreneurial colleague, and together you guys can step away from overwhelm of the day-to-day and into a space where you'll be inspired by provocative thinking and transformed by the mindset shifts that, listen, are just not happening anywhere else in our industry. Over 2.5 days in Newport Beach on April 16th to 18th, you'll join 50 women to have the conversations that, everyone's thinking about, but no one is talking about. Join us to uplift alternative thinking, dynamic leadership, and high growth business strategies that actually move the needle. And listen, I know leadership can be lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. Head over to klcconsultants.com/alt besties now to let us know who you'd like to share this promotion with. We'll send you the details first, so you're ready when the offer goes live on September 22nd for your bestie discount. Space is extremely limited, so applications will be accepted on a first come, first served basis. I can't wait to share this experience with you, goddess. I'll see you there. I'm laughing because also you're so humble about it, but like you do everything big. Like
I do. I have a problem.
So it is kind of funny, like your parties and all the things, which we should just kind of touch on that, because you're somebody who pours so generously into your team. And it's funny, like when we'll talk about the things you're doing and you're like, I'm having the team over, I'm putting these swag bags together, we're doing this team building, I'm having this, the popsicle, the homemade blah, blah, blahs, all the things. And I'm like, for your team, like, so talk, like why is that?
I think that stems from, I guess my love language is kind of to give, and I don't want ever people to not feel appreciated at a workplace. You spend more time at work than anywhere. So yeah, and look, they wouldn't put my name on a door. I don't want anyone to ever feel like I felt at my last job. That's an awful way to feel, to work somewhere where like it didn't matter how hard you worked or how good you worked, they wouldn't give you the least bit of appreciation or recognition. That's horrible. So I don't want people to ever feel that way. And I feel like I have a lot. I've done well. I live nicely. I should share that. I worked somewhere before also where, say, like one of my bosses had like, really say nice houses or boats or all those things. Never once could be like, come enjoy a weekend on my boat, like, let's go for a ride. And some people could view that both ways. Like, should you keep your life private and not let people see how you live, or no, like, invite them over, be like, come to my space. I want you to be here. I have this, like the team pool, like, come over, guys, come hang. We could do it. Like, I want people to be a part of my life, like, let people in. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and you're, I think, always a great example for everybody of what's possible when you put your head down and work hard, right, and build. And I think, I will say a lot of women, Russell, struggle with this. Like, well, I don't want to. I talked to someone and she said, I really want a G-Wagon. And I'm like, get a G-Wagon, girlfriend. She's like, and I thought she was going to reply back, well, it's just out of budget, or that's just, I'd rather focus on my next location because she's expanding. And she said, I don't want my team to think differently of me, or that I'm taking all the money from the business and not giving it to them, And so it's a real thing, like that fear of what will people think.
I'd be more worried about what my parents thought. I was 50 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think legitimate. And certainly there's a lot to talk through of like the reasoning, behind all of that. But I also think for her team and, for the people around her and just for other women to say, this is where we live one life, and we get used to navigate whatever, take whatever path and whatever we value, and I think that that's a great way to communicate with your people is like, hey, this is what is possible when you buckle down and work hard, and here's where we can go. So if that's important to you, here's your pathway for you to achieve that as well. So.
No, I think that's true. Like making sure you treat your staff well, pay them well, and give them opportunities to like do even better.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you mentioned you missed back to school night last night, and you're I can't remember the last time I went to a back to school night. So just the fact that you even knew it was going on is a win in my book. Congratulations.
I didn't until like 8:30, but yeah, so I missed it.
But like, let's talk about that, because I another struggle, right, as a female entrepreneur, especially like when we talk to women with young kids and like the guilt of being away from them and not being there for everything, I think it would be helpful to just have an honest conversation about what you've had to sacrifice personally in order to build a successful practice and, fulfill this dream.
Yeah, I mean, I miss a lot. And, last night I thought about it and my son was like, oh, it doesn't matter. I think he was saying that because he didn't want me to get mad at my husband, because like, why didn't he know about it? But we didn't know about it. Who does back to school on the second night? Like what? Anyway, so my son doesn't care. So a lot of the stuff we think we're missing, he doesn't care. I mean, their sporting events, I prioritize that. One, I enjoy it. And two, I can usually make that happen with my schedule. Not all of it, but a lot of it. I try to prioritize that. As soon as we get the schedule, try to make sure I'm blocked. Most of it's weekends, so that works. But I think you give up some of the small stuff, but what I've been able to give back in big things, we'll travel big. We have big birthday, the big celebration. So my kid is not gonna go to school and say, I cooked the best pot roast dinner last night. Never. But like we went on an amazing vacation. We have like awesome experiences in what we do big. And when I'm home, I'm home. Like, so I'm not necessarily, like I said, cooking or cleaning or, but I'm present with them. And we have the house, which I feel like our house is through the business, not through the business, but, from working hard, we have the house that all the kids are there. Everyone comes over, so they always had the play dates. They always had the friends over. So I feel like my work, missing some of the little things has allowed me to give them bigger things and bigger experiences. And my kids think it's weird when moms don't work. They say like, ooh, she's like a Karen. She's always there. Like they think it's weird if like a mom's always there and doesn't work. Like that's a Karen. She doesn't even work. Like that's what they'll say. So it's like perspective.
Cool. Well, and I work from home, so I feel like I'm just always lingering too, but
but they mean even there at school, like the mama always there, like always at lunch, always at, no.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I have you seen the meme? It's like trending where it's like I'm videotaping my son. He's like in a hammock or floating on a raft or whatever. So
Oh yeah.
can't say that he didn't have a good childhood.
Correct.
Funny. So what do you think has been the hardest thing about building a business?
Like fear, money, and staff. Like partly because you're carrying like not just your family and like you're all in. Like there's no like, you know what, I'm done this. Let me just go get a job. Like so you're carrying the load of like your family's kind of budget, livelihood, life investment. So there's that, but then you're also carrying the payroll of all of these other people's family livelihood. And it's just really, it's heavy. I mean, I even told my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't think you realize like how hard I work. And she, of course, she's like, no, you do, you work too much. But I'm like, no, but like the heavy of like, wait, did you know that I do payroll? Like, how do you even do that? I don't know. I figured it out. But like, payroll and staffing and staff meetings and seeing patients and just there's just a level of stuff we could make a list for days of the things we do and a lot of the things we don't even realize we're doing. It's a lot. Like it's crazy. If you sit back and write a list of all the things you do, you learn to do and you figure it out. Mm-hmm. Like what? I would be an employee any day. No, I'm just kidding. I love this.
You brought up your mom a couple of times. Did your mom work?
Yeah.
Did your mom work?
She did. She's a dietitian. She has her master's degree. She worked like one day a week, maybe. She would joke and say she worked enough to pay the taxes. So yeah, my mom made my family, sorry, my nose running. My mom was the mom, the Girl Scout leader, the Sunday school teacher. She was at pickup. She was at drop off. She was always home. She made all of our bread was from scratch. All of our fruit came from a tree. All of our vegetables came from the garden. You know, like Joanna Gaines or Martha Stewart. Like that's how I was raised. Weird. No, I'm just kidding. So totally the opposite of me and my life and how I do my life. Totally opposite.
Did you feel like you find yourself having to help justify or explain how?
No, it's just different. I think it's pretty cool that I grew up like that. I never had a Barbie. I never had a commercial toy. So like no My Little Pony, Strawberry Short, not one commercial toy ever. I had...
Now I'm finally understanding the pink.
The pink and the spend, like the material, like all the things. So my parents were like anti the 80s and I'm like, bring it on. I never had pink clothes. I didn't have anything pink. I had like the boy short, like Dorothy Hamill haircut, like all boy, like hand-me-down clothes. We didn't have a lot. My dad was a professor at Naval Academy. They didn't spend a lot. They paid cash for everything. Yeah, it was totally the opposite of everything I am now. But also like totally I was built from that in every way that I am, you know, like kind of hardworking, like work ethic, generous, school, like all the things. It's a complete kind of twist of everything.
Yeah. I think it's pretty incredible. And I will say, like, I had the mom guilt, like when my kids were little, leaving. I remember I used to drive by the park. The nanny would come actually in the morning before we all got up. So I could have breakfast and everything ready. And when I left, she would be walking with like Cooper in a stroller to the park. And every day I would pull around and cry. And like, what am I doing? And feeling like, why am I choosing this? Like, you know, I could survive being, and there's just this like unexplainable ambition and drive to do something. And like now the kids, you know, in their teens and now, you know, getting ready to finish high school. And like, I am so proud that I was the mom that showed them that I could just do whatever, let my heart on, you know, that filled my heart and that they get to do whatever. The world is their oyster, you know, essentially. And I think that I would say for anybody who's there maybe with young kids and feels that, like it's such a blessing when they can say it back to you, like tell you that they're proud of you and be a part of what you're building. I think it's
totally. I mean, it's a shame we didn't have some badass little bitch girls, but we have boys.
Well, it's funny. I laugh because I'm like, you talk about like your kids don't know what like mom staying at home is. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't know what my kids are either going to go like, I don't know what route they're going to pick, but I feel bad for whatever girl they want to bring home. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, just, I don't know. Yeah.
But I do try to lean into like mentoring young girls. I mean, I often hire like college girls to come in, or if someone has a daughter and they want to, because I think that women should know, I think every woman should get, a career, have a career, lean into, at least have something that they could, I just think women should be taught. So I always, even my grandmother had a master's degree. She worked, so I always was around like strong women figures that worked and could stand on their own. And I think that's really important to show women these days, young girls, like you need to, you can accomplish anything. You should have a career. You should be, yeah. And I don't know how to explain it, maybe what I'm saying right now, but when they come in there, I mean, I have their moms come to me afterwards, like indebted almost, like you did so much to show her, but it's just through work. It's just through work. It's just through passion. It's just from modeling your ambition, drive, grit, whatever, that they can pick up on that and they should see that.
Yeah. Well, I think applying yourself and anything you can do, I can do. You know what I mean? Like I got
right. Well, confidence. I mean, having confidence,
So let's kind of like playing off on that. And I think like there's so much confidence that you earn, right? When you just experience with age and, and the wisdom that you have. Looking back, if you were to hit the restart button tomorrow, like if you just had to completely restart, what would you do differently from day one?
Yeah, wow. So day one, I don't, that's a good one. I don't know what my day one would be. If it would, like, if you're saying like go back in college, like what would you do? I don't know. And I would do a lot of things. I mean, my son asked me one day, like, what's your dream job or it's this. So like, as far as day one, I feel like I'm really where I'm meant to be. And I'm actually kind of thinking, what is my like day two? But as far as building the business, I think the most important thing that made my day one kind of seem like day 300 is like putting the work in. It's a slow grind of like, you have to go through, health. Like, I think you have to work in healthcare. I think it's really weird that people come out of school and they say they want to go right into aesthetics. I think you should have to want to take care of people and know how to take care of, sick people, like kind of just be in the trenches. I think you have to earn that first. And even in hiring people, I won't hire someone that hasn't worked like in healthcare to then know how to pitch in, how to be a team member when there's like an emergency. Not that we have huge emergencies, but just know that kind of, I don't know, that it's a healthcare sort of struggle, all in, jump in mentality that I feel like you need. I think from a hiring standpoint, we've done pretty well. You always can learn there. That's a hard question. I think I've learned a lot of small things along the way, but there isn't one big, I think I planned a lot. I plotted this for so many years to leave my last job and start this business. And I think that's important, like for people to wait till, I know one says the time's never right, but I also didn't have little children when I started. I think that would be really hard. I don't know. I think if I could go back, look and start over, if I could have more systems, SOPs, documents, like we literally didn't have any of that. We were running on vials of Botox and credit card, like, cash coming, like we were just taking hits as they came at us. We didn't have systems in place. So we've slowly built that part of the business and it makes it so much easier. Like stuff is running without me. Everyone knows what they're doing. People know their jobs. People know their responsibilities and it feels good. Like I can back away and everything keeps going. I did not have that on day one.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'm remembering when we first met a couple of years ago and you were kind of at that inflection point, like drinking from a fire hose. And I don't think women who meet you now would even believe that was that Meg. Like, what's happened? Like, what have you when someone's like, I'm drinking from a fire hose, how can I be like, show up and be like Meg? Like what happens between there for you?
You can't sustain that. You can't sustain that. I mean, you will like, I was having like migraines. I would leave work and almost go like straight home and be like, my son would be like, can you do whatever? And I'll be like, yeah, bring it to bed. Like, let's, what I mean? We'll do it from the bed. Like, I wasn't living. Like, I was just working every day, and every day was like, just get it done, get it done. And I was like, it didn't matter like how busy you were or how much money you made. It's you can't sustain it. So I think putting boundaries in place was a huge thing. I mean, I would take another, they would put someone at lunch. It was getting crazy. So boundaries, systems, I put blockers in place. Like I'm no longer seeing that. I'm not seeing that, but it helped, give business to the other staff. But like boundaries, I'd say boundaries and systems were the two big things that I was lacking. And if not, I couldn't do it any longer. Like it was a lot.
Yeah. Well, you've put the work in. Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad to see where you are. Back to kind of the social media and optics, right? Like what advice would you give to somebody who sees you, maybe is trying to get into the industry, looks at social media and is like, oh, this looks really fun and easy and I want pink all over. And she thinks like, okay, all this is available to me. What is your advice to that girl?
You have to know that social media is like 98% fake. Like anybody can make it look good on social media. And there's so much hard work in between the posts and in between the lines that you're not maybe appreciating. A lot of people skip the steps. Like they think that you're like go to a nursing school or PA school and then you become aesthetic injector and then you have all the things. And there's like so much work in between. And I don't know many people that have done it that way without having like separate funding, I guess. So that I think just starting really small, maybe don't compare yourself. If you're following people that make you feel like less, or it doesn't feel genuine, then just unfollow them. I think because you have to keep your blinders on. I mean, you cannot focus on what everybody else has. There's always someone with more or seemingly more. So I think it's really important just to like do the work, grit, hustle, but don't compare yourself. It's impossible. And now with AI and Photoshop and filters, I mean, you would make yourself crazy.
Yeah, that's great advice. So my last question for you is actually about that. As you started when there was Botox, right? And now the aesthetic landscape has changed dramatically, not only in terms of products, services, approaches, techniques, but now we have AI coming into aesthetics. So I wanted to get your insights, in terms of now how that's impacting your practice, and also what is your perspective about how AI is going to impact the future of our industry.
I hope that it impacts it for the positive. I love AI. Like I ask it everything. I love it. I'm a talker. So if you're a talker and you're not a writer, I mean, AI is like made for you. If you have the ideas and the prompts, it really can be a positive help in the business. But I mean, right next to me, I have a list right now for AI, and I want to ask it, what does it say, what a client say about MFA? What is the best place for, have AI look at our website. Like I'm just intrigued by the way it can enhance the business. I hope one day it will help us create treatment plans that seem really professional on the spot. I hope that it can, help create for the people that weren't able to put their things on paper, as far as creating something that can be maybe monetized or passed down or made bigger. I think it could be huge. I worry about it creating a false results or false images, or that anyone can go in there and say, create this, and kind of it can create more, I guess, fakeness or more, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of making people
say about just AI before and afters even, and filters.
Correct. Yeah. I think that's a shame. Like, why are we doing that? Like, I can pick up on it so easy. And if I can pick up on it, have you ever showed a younger generation person like a picture and it has a filter and they're just like, that's so weird. I think their eyes are even more in tune to it. So like, just why are we doing that? If you create like fictional results on a before and after, and then that patient doesn't actually feel like they have the results that you created, and then the work that's walking around town isn't really exactly the picture, like it's just like photoshopping your own picture and making your waist smaller or something. Then someone sees you in person and they're going to be like, you don't look like that. That's weird. I don't know. I don't ever want to like to present something that's not real. I mean, we've all like changed the lighting or something, but if you're presenting something that's not real and then someone sees you and it's not really that, I don't know. I think it'll create a lot of mental health problems, I think, is what I would worry about. Like, we even as a work outcome, like our patients want unrealistic expectations, or they see pictures of stuff that's unrealistic and they want that. But if we're creating an unrealistic, result, or then they're going to have expectations of our work that's unrealistic because we put something out there that was unrealistic. I don't know. I just think it's a spiral. Yeah. Hopefully they catch it. Isn't it Australia that they can't use before and afters anymore? Or some places, if somebody's done any kind of filtering, they have to mark the picture. Like, hopefully they'll do that then.
Yeah. It's a big, I think, slippery slope for sure. And a question in the chat, I'd love to hear about Meg's experience segueing clients who want to see her to other providers, both personal growth aspect and the tactical. What was effective / successful and what wasn't?
First and foremost, if you have less hours available, then you're less available and patients will go to someone more available. So putting those boundaries in place, and so if that is your kids' sports, or if that's making sure you have a lunch or blocking your KLC meetings, like whatever it is, it makes you less available. So that is number one. Number two, offering services you don't offer. So lasers, microneedling, even like, lit flips, or anyone that I have a threshold of like, say 40 units. If anyone's less than that, like I don't see them. So, putting those hard stops in place then pushes the staff over a little bit. Credentialing your staff, which I could do better, but that takes time, where you get on Instagram and you show them doing your stuff and how great they are, and sort of building that brand promise through your staff is a hard one to do, and it actually has to be done often. I'm not good at that and should do that more, but that's helped a lot. It's hard when you open a new place. Until kind of you're fully committed or overly busy, it's hard, even with EMRs, because they'll be able to sneak in on your schedule if the opening is there. So like if you're not fully busy, then it's hard to push people over. I would say for a new location, it takes like 2-3 years to be kind of fully committed and all your staff fully committed. That was kind of the sweet spot for us, where the business was kind of working without me. I mean, it's crazy. Like I'm sitting in one location and the other one's just doing the thing. And I think I could walk in there and be like a ghost. And I don't think I would see anything I didn't like. I might be jealous that they got like lunch from somewhere and be like, I wanted that lunch. But no, I think they perform and uphold most of what I would for sure be proud of, even when I'm not there. I don't look at the cameras. At the end of the day, I look at the numbers, but I don't go through the sheet and see every charge or you can't. You'll make yourself crazy if you manage on that level. So there has to be that trust, and kind of, that's the hardest thing, letting go of control and trust.
Mm-hmm. I think it certainly is a process too. It's hard when we want to see an outcome and then we're doing the right things and all we really just need is time. I think that's one of the hardest spaces to be in as an entrepreneur, because we're solution people and we're used to solving problems and fixing things. And sometimes it's just let the plan work and give it some space, which is a hard lesson, but one that I think is valuable.
Totally. And opening your second location will teach you that lesson real fast.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the first, and it takes time. And your first one you had full commitment to. The second one, it's like having your second child. And then you're like, am I doing either thing right, or loving each one enough? Or you're always, split. And that's what happens as you expand. but everything's not perfect, and you can make sure you have good help and good staff, and then you got to trust the process.
I love it. Well, I think that is a great place to wrap up. Trust the process is just amazing advice. And certainly from somebody who's been at this for a long time, and so inspiring to hear your story, Meg. And also, I think for some wisdom from somebody who says, do the hard work. Don't try to skip the line. It's really just every day you got to show up and do the thing. And most important, focus on the people, building the relationships and pouring and investing into your team. So, and that's what I get to see you do every day. So thanks for joining us today. Where can people follow, find you, creep along?
Yeah. Probably Instagram's the easiest. I still manage my own Instagram. So it's Meg Fox Phil Talks.
All right. We'll link that up too in the show notes for anybody that's watching. So, all right, Meg, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you. All right.
Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight, because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working across the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.